This PenSpring tutorial will teach how to create a teacher class group and how homework is managed with all of its efficient features. Notice the Joseph test account we created in the first tutorial. It's MyWorks. The MyWorks is more of a personal list of your own works, but here we're going to go to the groups and add a new group. We see that we have one group there just as a test, Shakespeare 101. We'll create a new group, choosing teacher class, with giving a name and having the language, the default of our own native language for this test user, and a description. We've created the class. Now, adding students can be extremely efficient. You can add them individually, which I doubt would be as attractive to you, but the alternative is if you would have a list of your students already, which could come from a spreadsheet or any other electronic form, which you'd probably be provided with already. And notice PenSpring is smart enough to know that you have the first name, last name, followed by the email address, or in this example on the fourth row that you have the email address with the first name and last name. Fifth row has the last name with a comma, which recognizes the last name. Now Joe Thomas, that might be a little confusing, but in this case Thomas is the last name. So we can copy that with all those mixed formats of first name, last name, and email address. Notice that most programs out there have an edit or copy option. Here we clicked in the list under Add a Student List and hit Control V for paste on a PC. So notice then emails went out for all of them. PenSpring is smart enough to know if that user exists already. If they do not, they'll receive an email with an invitation link, and they'll click on that, simply register for PenSpring on their own then. But when they come in, they'll see that they belong to a group and we'll have homework there, which we'll be adding next. And notice here on this report, we see the accepted invitation. Clicking next then, we enter in a brand new work, but notice at the top we have a student tab, homework tab, and a reports tab, and we'll hit the reports in just a moment. But here we add the homework name, a little description. Here we list all the students of the class, which we might want to unclick one or two for some reason if they're not supposed to have it, or if it is extra credit for just some students, you can clear all checked boxes and then maybe check a couple at the top, as you see there, for those who are to receive this. So it's flexible for how you want to assign that homework. Going next then, we see that we have the homework created. It asks us if we want to create a peer group. We choose to split the 12 members of our class to 3 groups. We choose to generate a random assignment, click on Create Groups. It gives us them all randomly assigned. But since you know your students, let's say for example that Paul there is not a good mix for those students. So we delete him. Notice now he has a plus symbol in front of his name in all groups, which we then can add him to group 2. But now that we're uneven, let's take Joe Thomas and assign him to peer group 1. And that is how easy it is to assign your peer groups. And there will be a report later to show you easily what those peer groups are. We see the homework here. We have controls to delete the homework or to edit the name and description if we like. Here is where we view the peer group, so if you have a bunch of homework listed there, then you can see quickly how those have been assigned. Now the report of reports. You will see here the list of homework and all of your students. Notice the section. Well, you have different columns, but you have a word count, so you can see how well they've progressed. Now there are 4 varieties of edits. There's paragraph break changes, where you might want to break a paragraph of theirs into more than one. We can move sentences, so that's recorded as well. And remember that the student gets to accept or reject any and all edits. You can make comments of a paragraph, say that the paragraph is unclear, give them suggestions, or actually edit. Now notice on the right we have the peer groups. Now remember, peer groups are optional. But there you'll see the peer group activity. And the student contribution will be a count of their edits on anyone else's. So you can see by a glance of this report how much a student is involved, how much attention they've needed on their paper or didn't need. You can see then the work status. They can go to their work and choose to say that, hey, I'm finished. Go ahead and start correcting it as far as the teacher is concerned. On the left now, as you gather more and more homework, notice that you can click on the student link above. Anything here actually that is red on the header you can click on. First click will order it. Second click will order it the opposite direction. Here in this case we've chosen a list to see George Harrison. If you have more than one homework, you can see how George has done across all of his homework at once. Now you see how to create a teacher class and manage homework. And we invite you to see the additional features of PinSpring through the other tutorials.